will be immediately followed by the invocation by Reverend John Peck of Bethel Assembly of God. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our Father God, our Creator, we give you thanks tonight for another day that you've given us to serve, for breath, for life. We ask you tonight to be with this meeting. We thank you, Lord, for those that are in leadership. We pray tonight for our federal government, our president, our Congress, our Senate, for our Supreme Court, all those in making decisions that lead our country, for our state, our governor, and those that make decisions there. We pray, of course, for our city, for Lincoln Park, for those that lead us and make decisions here. We pray for our mayor and council, especially tonight, as they deliberate over the agenda before them and business for this city. We pray for wisdom and direction, and those that are serving us, the police, the fire, our public service department. We just pray for each one, Lord, in this city that makes it the place that it is for those of us that live and work here. We pray tonight for those that have needs. We especially remember the family of Councilman Carlos Salcido and the loss of his brother Tomas, and ask you, God, just to be with this family, comfort them during this time and these upcoming days with the funeral and the burial. We pray, Lord, for the family of Congressman John Dingell and for Debbie and for all those, Lord, the children, those that are, I'm sure, still grieving over that great loss, and ask you to be with that family. Asking you again tonight, Lord, just to be with us. Help us to serve you as we serve this city. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Reverend.
Condolences on your brother. Thank you.
If we could have roll call, please.
Councilpersons Breeding.
Here.
Higgins. Kelsey.
Yes.
Parkinson.
Yes.
Ross.
Yes.
Salcido.
Here.
And Mayor Carnes.
Good evening, everyone. We have under Mayor's comments. Congressman Dingell's loss is a great one for our community. For 59 years being in the U.S. House, running every 2 years, that is just phenomenal, and always with our best interests at heart. So our prayers go out to him, and especially to Congresswoman Dingell, too, who, even though she was had her husband on hospice or would announce it the next day, she made it to our Jack Frost Jamboree on the Friday before it was announced that he was in hospice. So she had to have been feeling pretty low down at that particular point, but she still made it to our event in support of all the vendors that were there and the High School Excel Club that she was meeting with. So our prayers go out to their families. The Jack Frost Jamboree was a nice event. Again, the question about which sled actually came in first, but or maybe there is no doubt, since there's video evidence on YouTube now. But it was a very nice event, and hats off to Maureen Tobin who put that event on. She did a great job for us. Another event that was put on by her is the Daddy-Daughter Dance, which was I think it's a week or so ago. And it was a great event to see dads out there dancing with their daughters. There was a DJ and plenty of food. So if you'd have an opportunity next year, I think mark that on your calendar and make a attempt to be down there and take part in that with your little girl. Also had the chocolate walk a short time ago. As far as attendance and business participation, it's our largest since the inception 4 or 5 years ago. Over 20 businesses took part, and over 50 people went business to business, visiting those. My wife and I made it to all but one of the Tim Hortons through that. But there's an opportunity to go in, meet the workers, to see what they had, and take a look at the inside of their businesses. So I hope that we expand it next year. It'll be a good time for all. And then this past Valentine's Day, we had a little get-together of our own. It was a mega meeting at the band shell where members of council met with members of the Community Improvement Commission, the Economic Development Corporation, the Planning Commission, the Dangerous Buildings, Downtown Development Authority, a couple others that, what's that? Parks and Recreation. Zoning, and everybody just getting together and figuring out how to make Lincoln Park a better place. There are several good suggestions that came out. Those information is not going to be wasted. We're putting that together and it'll be presented to everyone, because we'll be asking for your input too, how we're going to proceed. And with that, we'll move on to our consent agenda. Resolved that the following items listed on the consent agenda be approved as presented to the mayor and city council. The one, approved minutes, regular meeting held February 4, 2019. Two, appoint council member, Police and Fire Retirement Commission. Three, appoint council member, Planning Commission. Support. Discussion? Call the roll, please.
Councilwoman Ross?
Yes.
Mayor Carnes?
Yes.
Councilwoman Breeding?
Yes, but I'm abstaining from the minutes from the 4th.
Okay. Councilman Kelsey?
Yes.
Parkinson?
Yes.
And Salcido?
Yes.
All right, moving to the action items. Resolved that the mayor and city council authorize John Kazoo to attend the Michigan Rural Water Association Annual Management and Technical Conference on March 20 to 22nd at the Grand Traverse Resort in Acme, Michigan. Resolved that the total cost of the class and lodging is not to exceed $662, and meals will be in accordance with the city's travel policy, with funds to come from account number. With accordance with the city's travel, with funds to come from account number 592-920-960000 Water Training School.
So moved.
Support.
Hold that. Discussion? Clerk, call the roll.
Councilpersons Breeding?
Yes.
Salcido?
Yes.
Higgins? Oops, he's not here, sorry. Kelsey?
Yes.
Parkinson?
Yes.
Ross?
Yes.
And Mayor Carnes?
Yes. All righty. Next item has a cover letter from Chief of Police Raymond Waters. Lincoln Park Police Department is requesting permission for Sergeant Sean Noe to attend Eastern Michigan Staff and Command. This program will challenge the officers with management situations, in-class decisive decision-making scenarios, and learning new techniques to control, direct, and supervise personnel under their command. This 9-week course will provide the officer with knowledge to develop a departmental budget and manage special project funding. They'll also be instructed in Michigan labor laws and responsibilities of management for the Michigan criminal and civil law. So resolved that Mayor and Council authorize Sergeant John Noe to attend the 9-week Staff and Command School being offered at Eastern Michigan University in Ypsilanti, Michigan, beginning the week of February 18, 2019. The cost of the school is $3,250, and meals for the officer will be subject to the city's travel policy. A police department vehicle would be used to commute daily. Be it further resolved, funds to come from police department's training account number 101-305-960.
So moved.
Support.
Discussion?
Yes, Mayor. Discussion, if you don't mind. A city vehicle will be used, right? This is a department budget and manage special project funding, right? So is it normal that they take a police car to these events?
Yes.
All right. Thank you.
Further discussion? Clerk, call the roll.
Councilpersons Kelsey?
Yes.
Breeding?
Yes.
Parkinson?
Yes.
Ross,
Yes.
Salcido,
Yes.
and Mayor Carnes.
Yes. Next item has a cover letter from Chief of the Fire Department, Steve Martin. 2019 FDIC International Conference is a hands-on training and workshop to train firefighters with up-to-date techniques and provide critical information for firefighters to keep the community safe in today's challenging work environment. Some of the classes and hands-on training include incident management, strategy and tactics, handling elevator emergencies, rescue and squad company operations, size up and command for the small department, incident safety officer academy, advanced vehicle extrication, tactical emergency care, and flashover modern fire behavior. So resolved that the mayor and council authorize Lieutenant Steve Heim and firefighter Samuel Norton to attend the Fire Department Instructors Conference, FDIC, being held in Indianapolis, Indiana on April 9, 2019 through April 12, 2019. The cost for both employees to attend the conference is $3,300, which include lodging, meals, training, materials, and car rental. City travel policy will be followed. Employees will use their own leave time and will not cause overtime. Be it further resolved, funds to come from Fire Department accounts number 101-340-860 and number 101-340-960.
So moved. Support.
Discussion?
I have a question, if
Yeah.
to the chair.
Sure.
Are they flying? Is there airfare in this? If they're having a car rental?
It says car rental.
Well, they could be renting the car just
Yeah,
to
they
take-
they rent the car and drive.
Okay, that's all. Okay, thank you.
Okay, further discussion? Call the roll, please.
Councilpersons Kelsey,
Yes.
Ross,
Yes.
Breeding,
Yes.
Parkinson,
Yes.
Salcido,
Yes.
and Mayor Carnes.
Yes. All right, next item has a cover letter from our city manager, Mr. Copler. On January 7, 2019, Mayor and Council adopted the Enhanced Retiree Healthcare Plan for eligible retirees. This plan was designed to reduce the cost of healthcare for eligible retirees while keeping retiree healthcare affordable and sustainable to the city. At the time the mayor and city council adopted the plan, the acceptance agreement and release was not adopted. This is primary due to the fact that we are waiting to do so as the final step of the two retirees associations we have been negotiating with. During the meeting we have held with the retirees, some have expressed reluctance to sign the acceptance agreement and release since the mayor and council have not yet approved it. As you should be aware, based on the discussion of the city's labor attorney, this agreement and release is necessary to protect the city from being sued for offering these benefits and ensure the financial sustainability of the plan. So whereas on January 7, 2019, mayor and council approved the enhanced level of health care benefits to be provided to eligible retirees. And whereas the city held 3 meetings with eligible retirees and some expressed concern that mayor and council did not approve the acceptance agreement and release form that retirees need to sign to receive the enhanced health care benefits. Now therefore be it resolved that the mayor and council approve the acceptance agreement and release form for retiree health care attached hereto as Exhibit A.
So moved. Support.
All right. Discussion. Mr. Copler, you want to, or will you,
I will.
speak on that?
Real quick, because I think the cover letter kind of covers everything. As we were meeting with the retirees, a question came up from some about the council not having approved the language, or at least in an resolution form approving the acceptance agreement. So I had said at the meeting that shouldn't be a problem. The intention is, exactly what the mayor and council wanted to do was to provide these benefits for a certain, or for a definitive period of time until they're no longer necessary for the retiree. So I didn't think there'd be a problem bringing it back. It just kind of clears the deck so everybody knows what the intent of council is. I think I do want to speak because, I probably did not explain this as well as what I should explain what this waiver covers, or this release covers. And as you read through it, I thought it was clear, but I want to point this out, that this waiver is only for the time up to the signature of and provision of these benefits. So as you read through that list, it's on page 3, where it talks about what this waiver covers, and it covers the actions that were taken by the emergency manager in removing all of the healthcare benefits. And again, the intent was to clear the deck so we don't have any suits regarding what has happened in the past. If going forward, the city breaks from what is being provided, any retiree has the ability to sue the city because of that. But what we're trying to cover was those things leading up to this new enhanced benefit level that are being offered. Again, we were concerned that if we offered it, then people would sue us to get, money back that they spent in the previous 3 years towards their health care. We just want to get that taken care of so we don't have those lawsuits.
Through the chair.
Yes, sir, go ahead.
Matt, I asked you before about people that don't want to sign that, it's just signing your rights away to me. So if you do not sign this release, what's going to happen?
Yeah, and because that was a little bit different than this action item, I was going to cover that under my report, but if it's okay.
Sure, go ahead.
Okay. So what we believe the council, mayor and council's intentions are that as long as this waiver gets signed, these benefits will be provided to the retirees, regardless of whether they do it during this enrollment period or, we're going to be having another enrollment period starting in April for the pre-65. Then later in the fall, we're going to have another enrollment for the Medicare eligible. And then the following spring, we're going to have another enrollment for the this is going to go on. It was my understanding and my belief that mayor and council, wants to provide these benefits. We just need to get the waiver signed. And if they sign it as part of this enrollment, they sign it as part of the normal enrollments coming up for either the pre-65 or Medicare eligible later this year, or even next year or the following year, it's still the mayor and council's intent to provide this benefit as long as they sign the waiver. Councilman Parkinson had requested that we put together some letter that states that. I didn't want to do that unless, I made sure we were all on the same page with that. Because again, as I said, I assumed that that's what, you wanted to do. And I have no problem putting that letter together, but I'd like at least some consensus that that's what you want done before I do it.
I don't, through the chair, I don't have a problem with it. I was at all 3 of those meetings, and there was a lot of skepticism, so that would be a good way of going towards the fact that getting rid of that, and then, as far as I'm concerned, if that's our intent, then I don't have any problem with doing that. I mean, and presenting that in writing, if that's what's gonna take. I mean, it's my opinion anyways.
Yep.
So I would.
It would not hurt.
Right. So I think, again, knowing the conversation that I will have with that, if we could amend this to put another, further be it resolved that the manager is authorized to send out a letter stating what I just stated in some pretty language. I don't know how you want to say that, city clerk.
Okay.
Is that good with the mover and supporter?
That's fine with me. I just like to see it before you put it out. I mean,
Yeah, I'd like to see it also.
Not that I'm skeptical, but if I'm
I've-
putting my name to something, I'd like to see what it actually comes down to.
No problem.
But I don't have a
I've
problem
had
with it.
things not in writing before, and guess what? It came back to haunt me. I want this in writing.
So the question on whether somebody does not sign it, then their benefits remain as they currently
Yeah,
are.
if they do not sign the release form, it stays at the same benefit level as it is today, prior to the enhanced benefits.
Until the next enrollment.
Yeah, And then, at any enrollment going forward, if they haven't signed, they can sign, and then they'd be eligible at that point for those benefits.
Okay, is there further discussion, council? Further discussion at all? Okay, then clerk call the roll.
Councilpersons Kelsey,
Yes.
Parkinson,
Yes.
Breeding,
Yes.
Ross,
Yes.
Salcido,
Yes.
and Mayor Carnes.
Yes. Our next item is from our city manager, has a cover letter from Mr. Koppler. And resolution established wage scale for Deputy Director Parks and Recs, Community Center Manager. As part of the fiscal year 2018-19 budget, the Community Center Management Manager Recreation Specialist was budgeted to be promoted to Deputy Director of Parks and Recs. This move was in conjunction with the elevation of a part-time position within the community center to a full-time position. These two moves are intended to stabilize the staffing and oversight of the community center, provide a more even distribution of the hours of work so the community center manager would cover less hours at the ice rink, provide more oversight of parks and recreation programming, and provide opportunities for program expansion. Utilize the training and knowledge of an employee that has pursued training to be certified playground safety inspector. Dennis Anderson, currently the community center manager, recreation specialist, is the employee scheduled to be promoted to deputy director, Parks and Recreation, Community Center Management. As you know, Mr. Anderson has done a remarkable job in growing the uses of the ice rink and has kept the facility performing at a very high level. Additionally, Mr. Anderson has been obtaining certifications that also help keeping our parks safe for children to play. And he is currently at making $350. Requested amount of $47,000, consistent with similar positions in current collective bargaining agreements. So whereas there are certain positions within the city that are not covered by collective bargaining agreements, association agreements, or personal service agreements, and whereas it's necessary to establish wage, benefits, and conditions of employment for those positions that are not covered by such agreements, whereas Dennis Anderson is being promoted to Deputy Director, Parks and Recreation / Community Center Manager. Now therefore be it resolved that the mayor and council of the city of Lincoln Park hereby establish the following wage scale. Deputy Parks and Recreation Director / Community Center Manager at $47,000. Be it further resolved that the position receive the same benefits and be under the same conditions of employment as those employees covered under the Lincoln Park Administrators Association agreement entered on January 2, 2019, and be covered in the future in the same terms and provided to the Lincoln Park Administrators Association. And
Nothing?
is there anything?
And
Okay, disregard that and.
period.
I'll move on it.
Support.
Discussion?
I have a question through the chair.
Yes.
If in fact he's going to have the same benefits as the Lincoln Park Administrators Association, why aren't we just placing him in that bargaining unit?
Well, first off, it's not a bargaining unit.
It's association, pardon me.
It is association, loosely thought of, yes. This position has not been in the past.
Correct?
And so I would think that it shouldn't be because that's usually the top people that are contained within that. And if you might remember when in a different position, when, I think it was in 2017, we had talked about some positions similar to this that are not, to the same level as what the Administrators Association, levels are and are not covered in collective bargaining agreements, that what we did was we standardized all what I consider the non-union benefits in with the Administrator Association. So we don't have a lot of different people with different benefits. It's all the same.
Okay, I just thought it would be more practical, like the deputy city clerk, if in fact they were all contained in the same association, so that,
So the Deputy City Clerk is actually a union, covered by a union contract.
Right, and that's what I thought this would be. Okay. You answered my question.
Further discussion? Okay, clerk call the roll.
Councilpersons Kelsey,
Yes.
Breeding,
Yes.
Parkinson,
Yes.
Ross,
Yes.
Salcido,
Yes.
and Mayor Carnes.
Yes. Okay. Now whereas the resolution to award the bid to JFL for curbside collection, transportation, and disposal of recyclables was tabled at the January 22nd, 2019 Mayor and Council meeting, and whereas the Mayor and City Council wish to continue discussion of this item, now therefore be it resolved that the Mayor and Council move to take from the table the resolution to award the bid to GFL for curbside collection, transportation, and disposal of recyclable material. So to get this to the agenda, I moved on that, and we have the support of Councilman Salcido.
It's one table, right?
Yes.
To
Yes.
off table, yes.
I moved on to take it off the table, or put it back on the table.
No, you're removing it.
Remove it from the table, whatever you want.
Okay.
Got my support.
So at this point, the taking off the table is up for discussion. So hearing none, then clerk call the roll.
Mayor Carnes,
Yes.
Councilperson Salcido,
Yes.
Breeding,
Yes.
Kelsey,
Yes.
Parkinson,
No.
Ross,
Yes.
and Mayor Carnes.
Yes. I get to vote twice.
Yes, you did.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, you already voted once.
You make a good impression.
Yeah.
So then, whereas in August of 2018, the mayor and council awarded the bid for curbside collection of municipal solid waste to Green for Life Environmental for the term of 5 years beginning September 1, 2018, following a publicly conducted bid. And whereas the city of Lincoln Park included in that bid a provision for curbside collection, transportation, disposal of recyclables, but did not award the contract at that time. And whereas the mayor and city council are desirous of providing curbside collection of the recyclables to the residents of the city. Now therefore be it resolved that the mayor and city council hereby award the curbside collection, transportation, disposal of recyclables pursuant to their submitted proposal to Green for Life Environmental USA Incorporated, 6200 Elm Ridge, Sterling Heights, Michigan, for a term to begin May 6, 2019, and ending on August 31, 2023. Be it further resolved that mayor and clerk are authorized to execute all necessary agreements on behalf of the city of Lincoln Park with Green for Life Environmental USA Incorporated for provisions of curbside collection, transportation, and disposal of recyclables.
Don't move.
Support.
So discussion at this point.
Yes, through the chair.
Yes.
I know you had mentioned in May, was there discussion of looking to start this in July? Because of May is right around the corner to get information out to the residents in a timely fashion? Or are you still looking at May to do this?
Yeah, no, I think if I recall right in my cover letter, I had said that it could be done in May, but I would recommend that we wait until later in the year, and I think I may have said July 1st. That part I don't remember exactly what I put in there, but
Thank you. Also through the chair.
May. So it's May?
no, I think that's something that we need to talk about, exactly what the startup would be of that. I said that it'd be conceivable to do it in May, but I think the longer we have to make sure we can get the bins and everything that we need, because I don't know at this point how long it's going to take GFL to get those, and it could be, a week or it could be a month, and then we also then have to figure out how to distribute them. So it's going to take a little bit of time, and May was doable, but again, what I recommended that we wait till later in the year. And again, I think it may have been July 1st that I had talked about that.
So I'll amend the motion to July 1.
Support.
Well, the
Oh, it wasn't made.
agreement, I'm sorry, two different things here.
Okay.
Yeah, the agreement can be signed and become effective May 6th.
But do
the
we start
actual
paying then?
No, we wouldn't start paying them until they actually provided the service.
Okay,
Yeah, I'm sorry.
okay. So
Through the
we-
chair.
So-
You
Okay,
amend
yes, sir.
that, We got 5 years of that. Could we amend that to where if we find it going into landfills, that voids the contract?
Well, we would put within it the ability to pull out of it within the 90-day period in the agreement.
What if a year you find out that the stuff is going to the landfill? So, I mean, we're gonna be settled for 5 years for them just to send it to the landfill?
Now, again, we would have the ability in the agreement to pull out within 90 days.
If you find out in a year
Right.
that the plastics and stuff are going to a landfill,
Yep.
we would be stuck with that ruling for 5 years, is that
No,
correct?
no, what he's saying is that there would be a 90-day clause, that if you want out either party, there's a termination that you can exit.
Within 90 days.
Is that, yes, within
Yes.
90 days.
So you wouldn't, so the answer to your question is no, you wouldn't have to wait until the end of the agreement. You could invoke the clause to withdraw from that within 90 days.
Through the chair, Mr. Mayor, one other question, just explain to me and the residents the opt-out provision or clause. Is that similar to what Mr. Parkinson just brought up, the 90-day window if this isn't working out?
Well, what do you mean by the opt-out clause?
I'm talking about if, for instance, in a year, if there's lack of participation, if there's, our recyclables are going to a landfill instead of a other place, we can get out.
Yeah.
That's,
Yeah, mayor and council can say, we want to get out, we give a 90-day notice, and we get pulled out.
thank you.
I guess through the chair, just a comment. Previously, in the beginning when this all began, I was more worried about the cost to the residents and adding something else on the tax bills. But after much discussion with various people, and I must say, we have an ordinance currently that says we will have curbside recycling, and we have been violating our own laws, something that was passed by mayor and council for many years. So, for that reason, that's why I made the motion on this.
Okay, further discussion?
Yeah, through the chair, I have a problem with this for various reasons, and I guess the first one is, Councilperson Donna is right. Since 1990, the council evidently, and the mayor before us, never decided to do recycling, or they did and they turned it down. I wasn't here, I don't know what happened. For whatever reason, they didn't do anything about it, okay? It was,
It was discontinued, I'm sorry.
okay, well, it was, but the actual ordinance was passed in 1990. That's what I was getting at, and this is 2018. So, I'm just saying. And the other comment I got is, myself and Lillian went down to the part where they sort the stuff. We had a nice conversation with the gentleman there, and I think that's where GFL, if I read the document right, they're going to send the recyclables down to 8 Mile for this. He was talking about how they did it and so on and so forth. I don't know if there's any, I know the disclaimer, or excuse me, the 90-day thing that goes in there, but there isn't anything I see in this program, actually contract, when I read through it, the various contracts we had over the time that we've been talking about this, is where it provides for GFL to respond to us if the cost goes up for oil, if the cost goes up for diesel, if the cost goes up for manpower. There isn't a provision in there that says we get a chance to see the formula, how they reconfigure the cost to us to show us what we're actually paying and the profit they're making over the cost of the products or the services they got to pay for. The reason I say that is the products that we are recycling, everybody's recycling, they're based on a commodity market. That's the market that's international. It goes to China, it goes to Thailand, it goes to down in Florida where they ship out, because they make recyclables down there and ship it out. So it's all based upon what the going rate is, which means the recyclables could be worth money or worth nothing, and you just got to pay more to get rid of them. The seniors, I've had calls on myself from some seniors that says that they're not too happy with pulling out another cart and paying a lot more money per year, because we still have the other issues coming up, which we talked about. And I don't know if there's enough. We had 900 people respond to the actual survey. We have 38,000 residents. Somehow there's a disconnect there. In the survey that actually was put out, a lot of residents, when asked how much they'd be willing to pay, went from nothing to $5. And if you look at that, there was 2/3 that said they'd be willing to pay up to $6, and a third that says, I don't want to pay nothing. I don't want a curbside at all. So I guess I'm kind of over this situation about if there's really a pent-up demand to recycle in this city, because I haven't seen it since I've been back. I haven't heard anything from the council. I sat out in the audience for 10 years. And I didn't hear a word come up from the council, mayor, anything about recycling. And I agree with the council president about the fact that since somebody should have done something about recycling, because it says right in the ordinance it's mandatory. There's no option. Everybody has to recycle, and they do it, and that's it. There's no penalty, but it's recyclable. So I guess my point is, is there a discount for people who aren't using it as much? I mean, because some of the retirees are not going to pull that 74 or 64 gallon cart out there with if there's two people or one person in a house, roll it out there, and then that means the less recyclables we get, the more it's going to cost us, because there's not going to be that many people. They're going to be participating, but they're not participating when the volume goes up. So I guess I got a couple questions. The first one is there a provision in the contract that we get a chance to look at the formula if the price goes up for the various issues that we're charged? I didn't see that. All I see is that there's a unit rate of 3.2 reduced if we go to the recycling place.
So are you talking about for the collection and transport to the?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Because I mean,
Yep.
in this particular thing, or this particular, it's their responsibility to deal with the disposal of the recyclables. So it's from curbside to the end, that's what the price is.
So they're not going to, through the chair, so they're not going to come back and say diesel fuel went to $6 a gallon and we have an increase in your contract because now it was $4 a gallon, now we're paying $6. I mean, if that's true, I think that's great. If they're locked into a price, no matter what, they can't raise the price, and that's a good
Yeah,
issue in
this
that
is a
regard.
little bit different because, we have control in the refuse or the trash side where they have to go to deliver it. So, doing something, and I can't remember what the term is now in the contract, it's, effectively if there are large increases in fuel prices, for instance, because of the amount of distance they're traveling from the collection point from the city to the disposal site, they would have the ability to adjust it based upon the formula. But this one, they have total control over everything. So there wouldn't be, again, I just can't remember what the term is. There wouldn't be anything like that in this agreement that we'd negotiate with them.
Because actually, they're, through the chair, they're going out to 8 Mile, is where they're going to, according to this document here that I got, that we all
Yeah,
got.
and then
It's going out
that's-
to 8 Mile and
right.
Southfield is where they're going to take the recyclables. Well, that's.
Yeah, it'd be their responsibility.
All right, well, I still got a problem with the fact that I haven't seen, in the contract here, we talked about a rewards program. Is that still in effect? And part of the contract here, it talks about they're going to,
Yeah, they would have to. provide
rewards
that.
for recycling program.
They'd have to
What do we
provide-
do with the?
Which they do provide in other
Okay.
communities.
Okay, all right. What are you going to do with the seniors, though? I mean, if they don't participate, obviously, in the ordinances, there's no penalty. But what happens, again, to the amount that we recycle, because it has to be based on volume? Or-
Well, this is based upon the
Just
number
a
of
flat-
collections, yeah.
Okay, so just a flat, when they go around picking up on all that.
Yeah, I mean, that's, again, if you look at it in terms of the trash piece of it, if you don't put out your trash on a given day, we're still going to be billed for the collection that didn't happen.
So
Because we
okay.
have an average number that we periodically review and say, this is what the new number is.
Okay, so you're gonna,
But it's
pardon
not-
my,
it's not based
my
upon-
frankness, but you're gonna pay for not participating is what you're saying. Basically, it's a tax whether you participate or not, because we make it mandatory in the
Right.
ordinance back in the 90s, right? Am I correct? So
Yeah,
it
just
doesn't
like
make any
trash.
difference whether you haul it out or not. It's gonna be a flat fee on
Yep.
your water and sewage bill. Yeah, that doesn't make any sense to me, but, okay.
Further discussion? Yes.
Thank you, Your Honor. Again, is this going to be weekly or every 2 weeks?
I believe we did it every 2 weeks.
Every 2 weeks.
Correct? I don't have that in front of me. Do you have the?
Twice a month, it says.
Yeah.
It is, okay.
Yeah, it's every 2 weeks.
Just wanted to make sure. And then, I guess to answer some of the questions of participation, I remember the gentleman telling us, Councilman Kelsey, that they will weigh the trucks that come in there. So maybe we could somehow get a report or something?
Yeah, they will supply it, and I can't remember if we had put that as part of the requirements in the bid, that they supply us detail on what is being collected. the tonnage on it.
Yeah.
But regardless of whether they have to us, the county as well as the state require that as
Okay.
well, so. But I thought we had that in the bid specs.
That's all.
So,
Yeah, that was it, Your Honor.
okay, further discussion?
Mr. Chair,
Clerk, yes?
to Matt, could there be something in there to have the company tell us where it's going, so we have sort of an idea who's collecting it?
Yeah, they provided as part of the bid specs, or the bid specifications, they had to provide to us where they would be hauling it to. And I think actually they provided two different sites.
Through the chair, if I may, it's
If you have it in front of you,
the
Rick.
South Huron and New Boston and the 8 Mile, but that's not the company, that's the sorting place, that's
Yeah.
not where it ends up.
That's not what I'm asking.
Oh,
After they're done sorting, they ship it off somewhere else. I would like to know where it goes, because if it's going to landfill, tough. If it's getting used, then there's not much of a problem. But I want to make sure that it's going somewhere and being
I mean,
recycled.
we can,
That's the key.
yeah, we can try to get that in the contract. I mean, I don't know if we have a legitimate ability to force that in the contract, but we can try to
Well,
negotiate
if
that.
China's not going to accept it, and there's nowhere for them to send it, then they're going to go to landfill. And we need to know about that.
If I could, Your Honor?
Yes,
Make a
ma'am.
comment? When Councilman Kelsey and I went to that sorting facility, they have bales of, the plastics and the paper and the different items. I don't really think that they're going to go through all that trouble for it just to go to landfill. If you check out their website, they tell you the different places that they go. And this place is busy. We were told that they're working 5, 6, 7 days, 10-hour shifts, I believe. So, then they do say that they're sending the stuff out.
Yes, but
There's going to be stuff going to landfill, there's no doubt, because sometimes the stuff comes in that is a contaminant. They don't take plastic bags.
back
So
in the
that-
90s, we went-
Well, this is not an open discussion here.
So they do have some things that go to landfill, that's a given. But the majority gets sorted and it gets recycled and it gets sent to be used.
It would not really, if they're open above board, then they should be able to relate where their items are going to.
That's true, that's true.
And so we would ask for a monthly report of where these items went to and what they did with their things, where
There-
how the commodity things are. And I'm sure that that's something that we could work out with them.
Sure. Their website, though, is very informative, too, if, anybody wants to take a look at that.
We can possibly link that on our website as well to that. But let me just say that one of the things that we can and will ask for is to be provided a contamination rate, because that's going to be the most direct route to the landfill, is any loads that are coming from the city of Lincoln Park that are contaminated. So, I mean, that was, again, it's a little bit different than what you're asking for, but it's something that we are entitled to understand, and they're going to want us to know, because that's where these agreements kind of fall apart, is if there's a lot of contamination coming from the way that it's being collected, that really drives up their cost. And I'm assuming that they're going to be trying to negotiate some type of language in there for contamination and how that impacts the agreement, because that's normally what they try to do.
Okay, further discussion?
Just through the chair, if I could.
If you have, just go to
Go
the.
ahead, sorry.
To the podium. Yes, sir, go ahead.
No, that's fine, Your Honor, if they want to, I have already had, I'll speak later if you don't mind.
Hi, Patty Duncan. I understand you cannot opt out on this? You cannot opt out. Why can't you opt out? It's one question, and the other question is, how are you going to deal with apartment complexes? Is every unit going to have a bin? Or will they have a central one and that they get to use if they all want to, therefore kind of opting out on their own?
The apartment complex would be handled similar to the way that they handle their trash collection now. I don't know if there's a common place. I think that most have their own little
Dumpsters.
dumpsters the mini ones, I think. That's what some apartments do. I don't know about the others.
Why can't people opt out of this? Other than you have it on the books that it is
Well,
mandatory,
It is
but
the city, it is the city ordinance, and it's the same as in trash collection. It's for every resident in town. It'd only be cost effective. We have to do it for everyone.
all right.
Okay. Councilman, you had something?
Yeah, I was just going to say, when we, through the chair, when we were talking about this before, we talked about that actually it would simply be paying to recycle compared to going to the landfill. Now, there was something talk about weighing the trucks at the landfill also, because there would be a discrepancy in the actual money we pay, that we pay every 2 weeks when we get the bills. We see it's there, GFL is on there for the money. So what I'm concerned about is at least the fact that we get some money both ways to work the system. First, if you're selling the product and the commodity market goes up, we should be making money. Second thing, if it goes to less to the landfill, then that truck that's hauling is going to be weighed differently, because coming from Lincoln Park, that trash is not going to be the same, because you're going to have recyclables out of that truck that normally would go in that truck. And I know we talked about that, but I don't know if that was part of the actual document, because we didn't get too far when we were discussing the pros and
Hope
cons.
that through the course of this, that our tipping
Yeah.
fees at the Riverview
That's what I
would
was
be,
going to,
would be reduced. And the more that we participate in recycling, the more that we would save when it goes through that. As far as getting more, if the recyclables go up, I mean, that's the risk that the company is taking on their own. If the money goes down, they still have to pick up these items. If it goes up a little bit, then that's to their advantage, but we're just paying our one rate. That's how I see it. Is that, okay?
You're playing through the chair then. I just have a problem with the fact that, again, we're taking something that languished for 18 years. We're going to put it back on, and then we still got some other stuff coming. And we did and I guess underneath the councilman's remarks, I'll go further. I'm done.
Okay, further discussion?
Sean Stansberry. Okay, first of all, single stream recycling is when you put everything in the big toter. So it's going to get contaminated. Obviously, they had a article on the news the other day about all the people they have sorting. I know you guys, Councilwoman Ross and Councilman Kelsey went and seen that operation, but there's a lot of people there that are trying to sort the stuff, clean it. So single stream recycling is going to be a problem because it's going to get contaminated. So I can see that being a problem. As far as the ordinances go that we're breaking, there's a lot of ordinances in the city. If you go driving around, there's a lot of blight and there's a lot of ordinances that we don't even do anything about. So we throw that out there about ordinances. There's a lot of stuff that we're not doing in the city. So I just wanted to make that known. Also, too, I talked to GFL. And they told me, once they take it to the MRF Center, it's not their responsibility what happens. They don't really care. So just remember that. So they're getting a fee, they take it there, they don't care if they throw it in the river. I mean, that's, to them, that's none of their problem. So, and then also, too, you can opt out in Wyandotte. So, and I know Wyandotte has a little bit of different program where they have the recycling center, which they pay for on their taxes. But if you want curbside recycling, you can opt out of that. So I just hope tonight that we squash this and we don't do this to our residents, old residents and everybody that doesn't want it. I know I'm not going to participate in it. I'll pay for it, but I'm not putting nothing in there because I know what's going to happen. So that's all I got to say.
Please clarify, I just want to make sure that we understand what he said about Wyandotte. Wyandotte does not do curbside. If residents want to do curbside, they can by subscription do curbside, but Wyandotte just offers a drop-off center.
Chris Darzinski. For those of you not familiar with Occam's razor, all things being equal, the simplest explanation is usually the truth. Again, basic economics, more labor, more energy, more resources going into the same products when they get to the MRF Center. I'm all about recycling, but there's no economic guarantee that it stays away from the landfills. Therefore, this is going to cost us money on both ends. Thank you.
Okay, hearing nothing further, clerk call the roll.
Councilpersons Breeding,
Yes.
Ross,
Yes.
Kelsey,
No.
Parkinson,
No.
Salcido,
Yes.
and Mayor Carnes.
Yes. Okay, so our next item we have is resolved that an ordinance to amend Title VI of the codified ordinances for the city of Lincoln Park by incorporating amendments to Chapter 1290, Section .01, off-street parking, generally be given its third and final reading, title only, and be adopted. The city of Lincoln Park ordains that Part 12 of the codified ordinances for the city of Lincoln Park, Title 6, Chapter 1290, entitled Off-Street Parking and Loading, Section .01, Off-Street Parking generally, be and is hereby amended as, or that's good, all right.
So moved.
Support.
Discussion? Clerk call the roll.
Councilpersons Kelsey,
Yes.
Ross,
Yes.
Breeding,
Yes.
Parkinson,
Yes.
Salcido,
Yes.
and Mayor Carnes.
Yes. Resolved that an ordinance to amend the official zoning map, Chapter 1266.02 of the City of Lincoln Park with respect to the rezoning of property from planned unit development to central business district be given its third and final reading and be adopted. City of Lincoln Park ordains that the zoning ordinance for the City of Lincoln Park, specifically the zoning map of the city, with respect to zoning classification of the property known as parcel numbers 45-009-03-0017-301 and 45-999-00-2968-000, commonly known as 2115 Fort Street, shall be rezoned from PUD, Planned Unit Development, to CBD, Central Business District.
So moved.
Support.
Discussion?
If I may,
Yes, go ahead.
this is White Castle, correct?
Yes.
Thank you.
Further discussion? Or call the roll, please.
Councilpersons Kelsey,
Yes.
Ross,
Yes.
Breeding,
Yes.
Parkinson,
Yes.
Salcido,
Yes.
and Mayor Carnes.
Yes. Resolved that an ordinance to amend the municipal code of the city of Lincoln Park by adding a new section 676.038 to chapter 676, Safety and Sanitation and Health, be given its third and final reading and be adopted. The city of Lincoln Park ordains that chapter 676 of the codified ordinances be and is hereby amended by adding a new section 676.038. Does this whole thing need to go, or
We're going to adopt it by title only.
by title, yes?
Let's change that then. Because you did read it last time.
Well then here. Vaping by minors. A person under 18 years of age shall not possess, smoke, vape, or inhale from a vapor product or alternative nicotine product. Vapor product or alternative nicotine product means a non-combustible product containing nicotine or not that employs a heating, or not, that employs a heating element, power source, electronic circuit, or other electronic, chemical, or mechanical means, regardless of shape or size, that can be used to produce vapor from nicotine or not in a solution or other form. Vapor product includes an electronic cigarette, electronic cigar, electronic cigarillo, electronic pipe or similar product or device, and the vapor cartridge or other container of nicotine in a solution or other form that is intended to be used with or in an electronic cigarette, electronic cigar, electronic cigarillo, electronic pipe or similar product or device. Vapor product does not include a product regulated as drug or device by the United States Food and Drug Administration, FDA, under subchapter V of the Federal Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act, 212 USC 351 to 360 FFF-7.
So move.
Support.
Discussion? Clerk call the roll.
Councilpersons Breeding,
Yes.
Ross,
Yes.
Kelsey,
Yes.
Parkinson,
Yes.
Salcido,
Yes.
and Mayor Carnes.
Yes. Okay, we got that over there. Next item has a cover letter from Lisa Griggs, who is our Director of Finance and Operations. In accordance with the Uniform Budget and Accounting Act, it is necessary to adjust the current year's budget based on projected revenues and expenditures as submitted by all departments. After careful review, adjustments have been made to the appropriate cost centers. Budget impact. The proposed budget amendment has general fund revenues exceeding expenditures with an estimated contribution to the fund balance in the amount of $111,712. Below are some key changes to the general fund budget. Building Department revenues are increased by $160,000, which also increases the amount paid out to contractual services on the expenditure side. Local community stabilization revenue, personal property tax reimbursement, was $121,000 higher than budgeted. Unanticipated retirements reflect an increase in termination payments higher than originally budgeted. The Justice Center analysis is recognized in the expenditure amendment, increasing the budget by $38,440. However, reimbursement was received by the state and the revenue account has also been increased. Estimated costs of $24,288 included for the animal shelter operations. Franchise fees are reduced by $50,000, likely caused by less residents subscribing to cable television. The other funds of the city have minor adjustments except for the water and sewer fund. There is an additional $782,500 of expenditures paid out this fiscal year in relation to the class action settlements approved by council. In the line item detail that is provided, you will find comments under each cost center briefly describing the reasons for any additional significant increases. Recommended adjustments to the budget reflect those changes that administration has been made aware of up to this point. Any further adjustments that are significant may be brought to the mayor and council to approve through the fiscal year and will be adjusted at year's end. So, hence resolved that the Director of Finance be and is hereby authorized to adjust the general appropriated revenue and expenditures budget by cost center for fiscal year 2018-2019 as submitted.
So moved.
Support. Discussion? Hearing none, clerk call the roll.
Councilpersons Breeding?
Yes.
Kelsey? Oh, I'm sorry, Mayor Carnes, you said.
Yes.
Councilman Kelsey?
Yes.
Parkinson?
Yes.
Ross?
Yes.
And Salcido.
Yes.
You only get to vote on that once.
Miscellaneous.
And we have a miscellaneous resolution. Whereas the Lincoln Park Police and Fire Retirees Association has worked with the city to resolve the dispute related to the level of health care benefits provided to their members. And whereas the Lincoln Park Police and Fire Retirees Association and the City of Lincoln Park have reached an agreement to the level of health care benefits to be offered to members of the Lincoln Park Police and Fire Retiree Association. Whereas the level of health care benefits to be offered to members of the Lincoln Park Police and Fire Retirees Association are the same as those approved on January 7, 2019 by Mayor and Council, referred to as the enhanced level of health care benefits which are to be provided to eligible retirees. Now therefore be it resolved that the mayor and council approve the settlement agreement with the Lincoln Park Police and Fire Retirees Association hereto attached as Exhibit A, and be it further resolved the mayor is authorized to execute this agreement on behalf of the city of Lincoln Park. I'll move on this.
We received this quite late, so I apologize for not getting it out to you sooner. But knowing that it's something that we have been waiting on, that you should be expecting that we would receive this at some point, I hope that you would be able to act upon it under miscellaneous. But this is in line with all the enhancements that you've approved thus far. All this does is get on the dotted line by the association that they agree to the level of benefit. Still requires any members of the association to sign the form, the release form that you approved earlier this evening.
Question through the chair.
Go ahead.
Then why, if, I guess I'm confused. I mean, if it's not binding, but it's binding. I'm confused where this is going. Usually if you sign on behalf of somebody where I come from, that was it. Everybody abided. There was no, this is still, they have the chance to opt in or out based upon, so I guess what I'm saying is, legally, what good is this? Or is this something?
With what?
Well, the settlement agreement, we already,
Well, that's on behalf of the association. I
Okay.
mean, and this is, I think, the other association is taking the viewpoint that because they have not signed the agreement, that they're telling their association members not to sign or get the enhanced benefits. And so this is a document that says that we agree, both parties, in settlement of that. And one of the elements of that is each individual, because you might remember we talked about this, they've never provided us a list of who
Right.
makes up the association.
Right.
So to kind of counter that, we put in the requirement that, okay, if you're not going to give us that list, we don't know who is an association member, then everybody within the association is going to have to sign this. So we make sure we capture everyone, so we don't miss that one person. So again, even though the association has agreed, there could be elements within their association that don't agree with this, and so they don't have to sign, and they don't have to get the enhanced level.
You made my point for me, that's
Yeah.
what I was
Yeah,
trying
okay,
to say. That's what I'm getting at, I mean, okay, it's, whatever.
Yeah, I think, we went into this from the perspective that all eligible retirees were going to be able to take advantage of this. And again, we'd kind of proceeded with the thought that they weren't going to agree to it, but we still wanted to offer this level of benefits. And so that's why, again, we put together the release form, so we'd have it for anybody that wants to take part of it, regardless of whether they were a member of the association or not.
I understand all, never mind, I'm fine, thank you. I'm getting more confused, never mind,
Further discussion?
thank you.
Clerk call the roll.
Mayor Carnes?
Yes.
Councilpersons Breeding?
Yes.
Kelsey?
Yes,
Parkinson?
No.
Ross?
Yes.
Salcido?
Yes.
Okay. Resolved that accounts and claims payable for those items greater than $25,000 be approved as follows. Sutphen Corporation, heavy-duty G9 pumper for fire department, 50% down payment of $251,706.65. And that check is released for the due date, the same as the next item for MERS. January 2019 defined benefit, $206,503.02. Downriver Utility Wastewater Authority, December 2018 sewage usage fee, $102,456.37. February 2019 excess flow charge, $73,764 for a total of $176,220.37. DTE, January 2019 streetlights, $39,009.34. January 2019 gas and electric, $18,378.37, for a total of $57,387.71. DVM Utilities Incorporated, Saw Grant Sanitary Sewer Cleaning and Televising Investigation, $50,873.68. January, okay. GFL, January 2019 curbside collection, $115,498.25. February 2019 curbside collection, $115,498.25. February 2019 dumpster services, $1,637.70 for a total for GFL, $232,634.20. Tennessee Engineers Incorporated, 2019 road reconstruction, $45,318.40. General Consulting and City Hall Energy Efficiency, $1,741.30. DWSD TAC and AWG Consulting, $113.52. Saw Grant, $33,257.62. Saw Grant Cleaning and Televising, $8,459.66. Plan Reviews, $184.80. Emmons Resurfacing, $330. Water Main Replacement, $12,959. Gould and Monty Reconstruction, $2,428.80. 2018 Asphalt Resurfacing, $382.02. 2018 concrete sectioning, $1,672. River Drive reconstruction, $4,500. Lafayette Avenue intersection, $1,475. 2019 asphalt resurfacing, $19,739. 2019 concrete sectioning, $7,870 for total for Hennessy Engineers Incorporated at $140,377.12. We have insulated roofing contractors. Lincoln Pump Station roof, $14,850. Community Center roof, $92,146.90. City Hall roof, $4,770. Kennedy Memorial Building roof, $62,287. For total for insulated roofing contractors at $174,053.90. And this next one also had a check release for due date. It's Michigan Municipal League Workers' Comp Audit Fiscal Year 2017-2018, $38,182.
So moved.
Support.
Discussion?
Question, we were working through the DPS committee on the excessive flow charges that we got. They were supposed to put, Hennessy was supposed to put the monitors in the different places to do the, because we were thought we getting charged more than what we should be getting charged. How'd that ever?
So two different things,
issues?
yeah.
Okay, all
So
right.
the excess flow is something that goes back to the 1962, the original agreements, because there's a certain amount of flow coming from the combined system that was never separated. So the houses that still have their downspouts or basement drains tied directly in. And so to account for it, they came up with this excess flow charge, which is on our list of combating because it really is never, the formula has never been changed since many years ago, and we're trying to create the data to show that those numbers are no longer effective. But what you're talking about is the exceedance, and so two different things.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess I go back to the question then, is that they're required to have all the stuff separated in this city so it doesn't go down there. So we shouldn't be having anything going down there. So whether they got a formula or not, we shouldn't have any excessive flow. Am I right?
The thing that,
Because we're still paying, like every 2 weeks, we're paying $70,000, $80,000.
so
Different
the
thing?
thing that was never done was the city never forced residents to disconnect their foundation drains. They have
I
not.
know mine is, through the chair. I know mine is, when I bought my house, it was disconnected.
Through the chair, mini Ciccarelli time and everything else, everyone was ordered to. I mean,
Then we shouldn't be having the flows we're having when it rains.
That's why
I
that's
mean-
why it was.
I mean, there's no way that everything that I've read and seen is you never forced the residents to disconnect that. And that's not to say that there aren't those that were disconnected,
violated.
but they weren't. And that's why the system is designed the way it is, to account for that flow.
Okay. Answers my question, thank you.
Through the chair.
Yes, well, I'd
Matt,
be interested, hold on. just
I
one
don't-
sec. I'd be interested in doing a research on that. Mr. City Attorney?
Yes, sir.
Well,
I'm sorry, I was researching online.
that, find out if there, or it could be the court, find out if, when and where that was prohibited.
We
by-
started that around 1978, 1979, the federal lawsuit. We started the disconnection of downspouts.
if I may,
Right. Understand, not downspouts. I'm talking about
And
the,
we were supposed to do the floor drains too, but they never got to that. Or they
This
just
is the
started.
floor drains that we're talking about?
well, it's the foundation drains.
Yeah,
That
foundation
we're talking about.
Okay. I got that.
Yeah,
Councilman?
it's a costly thing. To get that done, you're probably talking in the neighborhood of $10,000 per house to do that.
okay, I didn't have to do that.
Yep. Your Honor, just for the benefit of the council who is new, and I know Mr. Parkins worked here at that time, Mrs. Breeding did too. The city mounted an expensive effort looking for grants just to connect the downspouts and the floor drains. And there's the foundation drains, which are much more expensive. And I don't think they bridged that third approach because we've settled the federal lawsuit in the first term came in the late 80s, then the early 90s, and there were no further requirements, so then all the work was abandoned. But it's clearly still a problem, not only in this community, but all the communities.
If I may,
Yep, what-
we had all those consent agreements,
Right.
you know, from Youngblood.
Exactly.
There's files and files.
Counselor,
Chair?
yeah, go ahead.
That Fikens was the judge that contracted a lot of stuff, and we did sewer separation, but that was plugging off the storm drains so they wouldn't overflow into the sanitaries. Taking the eaves troughs or the downspouts off, yes, we did that, but to do the drain tiles, no, I don't think anything was ever done with that at all. There was a talk about it, I think it was $8,000 at the time, so I don't think you can dictate to people to tell them to spend $8,000, but then you gotta put in a sub pump. Now, the new house being built have a sub pump.
Okay. Further on the accounts and claims payable? Hearing none, clerk call the roll.
Councilpersons Kelsey?
Yes.
Ross?
Yes.
Breeding?
Yes.
Parkinson?
Yes.
Salcido?
Yes.
And Mayor Carnes.
Yes. And we're at the point for the city manager's report. Mr. Coppler?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, everyone. I have a few items I want to discuss with you. The first one, I'm going to go out on a limb and assume that I made the right decision here on your behalf, but you can easily tell me if I'm wrong on this. I was contacted last week by Grand Sakwa, who owns the shopping center, Sears Shopping Center, not the Plaza, but Sears Shopping Center, requesting the ability to store over 500 Mustangs on their lot. Apparently, you know, it's, I don't know if we have anybody that works for Ford here, but you could explain how 500 Mustangs come off the line without steering wheels. But that was the need for the storage, was to put those aside, and then once the steering wheels come in, they would put them on. At that time, I said that I don't believe that mayor and council would appreciate that, and not to give them permission to do it. I did say that I would bring it up to mayor and council and see if he wanted to do something with that, but it was out of the time frame. He could not wait to do that, so that opportunity passed us by. I will say that based upon the last situation we had with trucks being stored there, in discussions with him and explaining again what our position was on that, he did bring up what he was doing with the city of Allen Park. And apparently the city of Allen Park does have a license that they provide, or, you know, they apply for, and allows for them to store vehicles on that property through a permit process. He supplied all that to me. I have it in a file. I don't know if you're interested in doing something like that. Again, I made an assumption that you probably weren't too interested, but again, I told him that I'd bring that forward, and if you have interest, I'll put that together and present it to you for consideration.
Well, personally, we didn't allow it to go down to the foundations to turn that into a massive parking lot. I mean, it's not, I don't know what Allen Park is accruing from that, but I'd personally say no.
My opinion. They want to pay us $10,000 a month for, you know, for a storage little thingamabobby. 10,000, you know, they're doing absolutely nothing over there, and not moving anywhere, you know. As long as they're new vehicles and not junk cars, we don't want to turn it into a junk lot, but 10,000 a month, why not?
So we'd look at it, is what you're saying, right?
I'd like to, through the chair, I'd like to see them develop that like they're supposed to. We just gave them 15 grand and a planner. They should be doing something with that place, and we allowed them to keep the foundains instead of taking them out. So And if they're not really seriously looking for somebody, then yeah, I guess they can make money just like we can off store. But where's that going to end? They had the trucks, now the Mustangs. Who knows what else is going to be stored over there? You know, you can store U-Haul trucks if you want to over there, if you got the right price. And, well, if they...
Escapes and Explorers, what else do they
Yeah,
produce?
Jeeps, Wagners.
That's not Ford.
Anyways, that's my opinion. I just think they should move on with the grand plan that everybody's been talking about and the city put all that money into. I mean, that's my opinion anyways. But, hey.
Through the chair.
Yes, sir.
I don't believe that's zoned for long-time storage. I think that's the parking lot.
Yeah, no, it's not, and that's why
So-
there would have to be a special discompensation
They
by
should,
the
they should
mayor and
plan on
council to do that.
redeveloping the way it's supposed to be done.
Just a comment, if I may, also through the chair. I'm driving by there, and their semis are parking there now. I seen a semi with the overhead, with a cab on it, sitting there in the middle of the parking lot, and he wasn't having lunch. And what I'm going is that now that they see that vacant, we had a problem when Councilman Murphy was on with the semis parking there, because that's a perfect place for it. It's right in the main drag, and you can put your sleeper, go in the back, and take your, so, I mean, that's the problem when you don't develop that.
Is that the Sears or the?
No, that's the one you're
shopping
talking
center?
about, the Sears
Okay.
Shopping Center. But like I say, that was a couple days ago, and I drove by there, I'm going, oh, that's interesting, we're gonna start parking semis there, you know? Hey, whatever.
Okay, so I'm going to assume you don't want me to bring that forward.
Good for me.
Earlier today, the mayor delivered to me a package that he received from the county
Treasurer.
treasurer, that's right. They have provided very early on the potential properties for foreclosure list, so I'm going to be making copies of that and putting that in your mail slots as well, so you'll be getting that tomorrow. I didn't talk about this during the mid-year budget adjustment resolution, but I did want to point out, because I think it's very important that if you looked back over time, the last few years out here, those mid-year adjustments are getting less and less. And I want to point that out because that is due to the work that, not only what the finance department is doing, but also what the department directors are doing as part of the budget process. I mean, that means that we're actually following what we're supposed to be doing, which helps us, at the end of the year, account for the money that is being put into the general fund reserve. So I just want to point out that because those numbers are getting smaller, that's a good thing, and it's attributable to what the work is being done by the department directors. So I think,
On the foreclosure properties, once we get those out to council, we will be making those, reaching out to those folks in some matter and form, because we don't want anybody to lose their homes. There's time to enter into an agreement with the treasurer on these properties. Maybe that's a good thing that it came out so early. So the fewer that we have on that list are actually a good thing. So we will be doing what we can. Thanks, sir.
the next thing, and again, I want to commend the work of staff on this next item. At the last DUA meeting, there was discussion about the exceedances that have been experienced by the city of Lincoln Park and the city of Ecorse. And this is something that we have been working with our engineering firm probably since 2 years at least. Right.
Process about 8 years.
8 years, so there's a long time even before I got here. And what happens is during certain rain events, we have a certain amount of flow that we are allowed to put into the system. And for one reason or another, our flows during those rain events have been above the system, allowed. So DUA, and before that, Wayne County would send nasty letters to the city saying, you're exceeding what you're allowed, fix it, or we're going to start fining you, because within the service agreements that the city had, there were provisions that if you exceed the contractual amount, that they could start charging above what the normal charge was. That never happened, but there was always the threat of that. Probably I think it was around 2015 is when we really kind of buckled down and started looking at that. And the engineering firm Hennessy our engineering firm, Hennessy, through one of their subs, started looking at how the flows. We put meters on our system to try to track this, which showed that during a lot of or a number of the events that happened after the meters went, that we weren't even getting our contractual flow out. So how we were getting these nasty letters when we could prove that we couldn't even get our contractual allowed amount out was kind of an interesting question. And that's when you get into the mysteries of metering sanitary sewers, is that, they're never really accurate. And so if they don't test them to find out how off the tolerance they really are, you never know what that number is. So again, through the work of John and as well as city engineers, we were able to get them to finally look at that and make the proper adjustments to the formula that now show that all of those times that we were exceeding, we really weren't exceeding. And so going forward, that's a good thing. But again, that's only part of the fight that we have here. The next part is to start looking at what the excess flow is. Because, again, the city has made, in the last few years, a lot of adjustments to our sanitary sewer system to get out a lot of the water that's been going in that is the excess flow. We'll continue to do that. At some point, DUA is going to change their methodology for charging, and that's when we have to be ready to show that we are far below what they're saying we are. So the battle is not over, but or the war isn't over, but the battle, at least related to the exceedances, have been won by the city of Lincoln Park. We were notified recently that River's Edge apartment project, you might remember mayor and council had authorized a pilot for that project probably about a year plus ago. They have finally received notice that they are going to get the funding through the CDBG projects or grants that they were looking for. So they are going to start moving forward again with that. I have to go back and review the timelines that we had in there. We may have to adjust that pilot to reflect the new time frame, because if I'm not mistaken, they were supposed to have that completed this year, which I don't think is going to happen. More importantly, their special land use permit expired, and so they're going to be going through the land use process again to get that brought back in alignment with what needs to be done. But I just want you to be aware of that project is, according to the developers, moving forward again, and we'll see some things happening with that. And with that being said, I'll end my report, and if there's any questions, I'll try to answer them.
Through the chair, in regards to the Mustangs, did they offer an amount per month? Is that what, you said 10,000?
Well, I will say that again, from my perspective, without having council approval, I wasn't going to approve anything. And they needed to know that day whether we were going to allow that. But in talking about it going forward, he did offer to share in the money that was being made by him for that. Again, what I'm told over the phone and what I'm willing to see in writing could be two different things. So, he did throw out a number. It wasn't close to the number that you put out there.
45,000.
But I think, again, there would be a willingness on his part to negotiate a portion of the revenue that comes in. Again, I'm not going to say the number he gave me, because if he doesn't put it in writing, I'm not going to.
I mean, my feeling is there's nothing there now. Those are new vehicles. I mean, I don't think it'd be an eyesore. They're not going to be there for a very long time. I mean, if it can give the money if it can get the city some money and revenue, I'd be interested. Thank you.
Yeah, and again, that would all be part of if we did some type of permit that allowed that to happen there.
I have a question then, through the
Yes,
chair.
go ahead.
Let's just say we approve something like that. It's our property. We pass a resolution to approve this. Whose insurance is it covered under once the cars are stolen?
Well, it's all theirs.
They have security.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that we would be allowing is, and I'm putting this in probably not the best legal terms, but we're waiving the zoning
Requirement for parking.
Yeah,
off-street.
yeah, because there's, that particular zoning does not allow for storage of vehicles like that. So you'd be providing the ability to do that above what the law allows. Which, again, you can do that, but,
Once you open it up.
yeah, that would be my concern, is that there are other people that may not, similar to this one, make an argument, well, if it's okay for that. So it is kind of a slippery slope, but I said I'd bring it forward, so I've done my work.
Okay, thank you, sir. Now move into our department head report. It's Finance Department. Lisa Griggs.
Good evening.
We found the remote, so everything's good.
All right. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Tonight for my report, I'm going to do it a little bit different than I normally do. What I want to do is introduce you to some new reporting that we're looking at putting out for the monthly reporting. James in the City Management Office has been kind enough to work with myself and Matt on kind of putting a package together that'll be a little bit more interactive with the public and a better communication tool, and hopefully kind of drill down on some of the key information and not allow you to get lost in so much detail. So what the new reports are, what our goal is to do with that is to summarize the data by key information, the main categories of revenue as well as the main categories of expenditures, and kind of put it there in those, like the police department and those larger items, to kind of put it right there rather than bogging you down with pages and pages of detailed information, which will be there as well, but kind of summarizing it and making it a little bit easier to read. As well, in addition to that, we're going to put some descriptions in there that'll show, kind of summarize what the different funds, how they represent the city as far as special revenue funds, general fund, what those purposes of those funds can be used for, and what the ones that are restricted by law. So this is kind of a snapshot. I know it's hard to see. I wanted to kind of put it there. It's not the actual report going out, but just to kind of give you an overview of what it's going to look like. So on the left side is one page of information that's kind of the cover page to it. And it talks a little bit about the major funds of the city, general fund, where those revenue sources come from, how they can be spent. And then down below, it's a chart that kind of summarizes the general fund budget, the governmental fund budget. And so you see the total 18-19 budget, the actuals spent year to date, and then we'll compare that to the previous year. And then going forward, we'll talk a little bit more about the governmental funds, which include your special revenue funds, Act 51, cable fund, those types of things. So they're all kind of outlined in there, and they tell you a description of each fund and how it can be spent. And then there's some, a lot of graphs in there to kind of make it easier for people to read, people who are not financial people, who don't want to look at the detail of, each little line item in a certain department's budget. Now this one, I think, is one that we're going to kind of work on and streamline it a little bit more. This is the balance sheet for the city, and as you can see, it's very busy. There's a lot of information there, and to the layman person, they're not going to know what it means. So I do talk a little bit here about what a balance sheet tells you and what you're looking at. So basically, it's putting on one page the total assets of the particular fund you're looking at. So those assets are generally your cash at hand, as well as any land that's owned, any equipment, vehicles, those types of things. And then your liabilities are, of course, any money owed out to, if you have debt, any in terms of loans or bonds. We luckily have very little debt in the city, as well as any money that's owed to inter-fund transfers. So if we owe the water and sewer fund money, CDBG, those types of things, and as well as any amounts owed to the school districts or Wayne County. So basically that covers what the balance sheet is, and at the bottom line of the balance sheet is what your fund balance is. So it's your assets minus your liabilities. So when you're looking at the balance sheet, even though there's a lot of information there, that's basically your bottom line. We talk about fund balance all the time, and that's what it amounts to, is your assets minus your liabilities. Then in the report, it moves on to general fund revenues. So you can see here on the left side, it's a chart that, it's really hard to see because it is quite small. You'll see the current year budget as well as the year-to-date spent. It's kind of the same information broken down by general fund revenue here. So the chart on the left puts it in a nice graph, and then you can see the more detailed information by category, by city clerk, election, and so on and so forth. And then we're always comparing it to the same time period last fiscal year, so we can kind of see where we're going forward. And this next slide is the same thing, but your expenditure side for the general fund. And then we'll move on to the special revenue funds. So your special revenue funds are going to be your Act 51 funds, your cable, your CDBG, advertising fund, those things that are restricted by law as to what you can and cannot spend them on. So the money that comes in must be spent directly on those items, and we have reporting that we have to do for most of those funds to prove that we are spending it in accordance with the law. And then capital project funds are those major capital items such as your water and sewer and the road program that we've been doing the last few years. And then the proprietary funds for the city, we have the enterprise funds, which is your water and sewer fund, and that's funded by the rates coming in that are charged on the water bills. And that as well is restricted as to what it can be used for. We pay for the water system, we pay for employees out of the water system, and it's funded by those rates, as well as there's an amount that's on the tax bill related to a judgment levy that's specifically for those purposes. The internal service funds, those act as well as a business fund. So basically, our fleet management fund for the city controls all of our vehicles. So in order to fund those operations, we charge back to the other departments that have vehicles in the city. So the police department, the fire department, roads, those funds all pay into the fleet management fund based on the amount of vehicles they have and all of the charges that go into there. So without that, it would be in those other funds, but this way we can kind of control everything and look at it in a snapshot to see what we're spending in total on the vehicles as well as the technology fund. And then here's another chart that we'll be including for the enterprise fund. We do just have the one enterprise fund, the water and sewer. And you can see here we'll have a chart that'll kind of outlay it as well as show the current budget, actuals, the current month activity, and compare it to last year. So these new reports that we've been working on, they're not completely finalized. As I said, there's a couple things I think we want to tweak, but we're looking to kind of summarize the data. We will include all of that detailed information that you've currently been getting with the month-end reports. So if you do need to look at a particular department and look at their line items, you can still see that. So none of that will go away, but this will be in addition and just kind of make it a nicer package for everybody and make it a little bit easier, hopefully, to read. And any input that anybody has when they get them, if there's something that you'd like to see done a little bit different, we're always open to that. Then I'm going to go on from that and talk a little bit about the current operations that we're doing for the next year budget. So we're currently working on the 1920 budget. That's well underway. We're getting close to hopefully wrapping up a lot of that information, and in March, we'll do some final budget meetings with departments if it's necessary. And then between March and April, we'll get study sessions scheduled with the council to present the budget for next year. And then in May, we'll hold the public hearing. And June 3rd is the date that it looks like the council will be hopefully adopting the budget for next year. And then the new budget year would begin on July 1st. And then I just want to talk a little bit about the technology upgrades that we've been doing. I think I talked about them in my last report, some plans that we had. So we are full force into that now. Our IT provider has been working with us. I think we started back early January, the project began. So we have completed the fiber connection between City Hall, police, and fire. That was finalized last week, so the keyless remote system now has been moved on to that, and a few things between the police and fire department have been moved over to that. And our next big step with that will be to move the servers located here at City Hall to one of those locations so that if there is a power outage here, it'll be covered by a backup generator and hopefully less downtime for staff. They're also still working on other upgrades for the band shell, community center, DPS. All of the city locations, for the most part, have been receiving some type of upgrade. They did complete switches, firewalls, and some Wi-Fi here in the conference center. I don't know if anybody has noticed it's better coverage now. Before it was really spotty, but we added some connectivity here, so hopefully that works better for everyone. They still have some few follow-up items at some of the off-site locations, but we're also upgrading the firewalls, so that's going to give us better security and hopefully more stability as we go forward. And some of the other things that we're looking at is the city manager and myself are working on a plan to upgrade the city phone system. As many of you know, our phone system goes down quite often, and it's become more and more frequent. So we're looking at a plan to get something more stable, especially at police and fire, and hopefully save us some additional money going forward. So we're in the beginning phases of that now. And then at the next meeting, I've been working with our computer company through Dell, through the state My Deal program. So we've been getting those quotes finalized. And at the next meeting, I plan to bring forward to you a resolution to approve purchasing new computers for the police department. We've been talking about that for a while and got to get it finalized. And I think they have about 37 over there. Their computers are probably about 6 or 7 years old now, so they're due for some upgrades. As you know, a couple years back, we replaced all the computers here at City Hall and some of the other locations. And so now we're kind of moving through the cycle, and we're going to try to keep it on a 3-year rotating cycle and keep everybody up to date on their technology. And with that, if there's no questions, that's all I have.
I've got a question, of course.
Yes, go ahead.
First of all, the new monthly report, I think that's very nice, and I appreciate the work that you put into it. It's for someone who is not a financial person, other than working with budgets for all of those years. I appreciate the new information. But I want to know, how timely will it be as far as posting, and as far as how current will it be for the figures? I mean, as far as the encumbrances and everything else, how current would it be?
Well, the reports that will be coming out, like for instance, now we're working on the reports for the previous month. So it's always going to be through the most recent month ending. There's always things that are kind of hanging out there. If there is encumbrances that are cleared the next month, like those things do change on a daily basis. Just depend, but it will be the most up to date that we have at the time. So through that most recent month ending.
Thank you. You're doing a good job.
You're welcome. And James did a lot of the work on the reporting, so I'm going to give him credit for that.
Okay, anything further for Lisa? Thank you. Thank you, nice job. We'll now open it up for citizen communications.
Chris Starzinski, good evening. Okay, Saturday, the all-day jam at the VFW Post 552, 1125 4th Street, noon till midnight. This is our big fundraiser that supports the Memorial Day Parade. So $10 for adults, get a wristband for all day, all you can eat food, the music, cash bar, raffle baskets, 50-50, the entire shebang. Family fun time, of which of course adults are invited to, noon to 4. Gonna have kids music, crafts, sunshine to clown, face painting. So if you're a family, that's 2 adults, 5 kids, put that together any way you want, that's $25. That's a really good deal. So let's get a lot of families to come out for our noon to 4 p.m. family fun time, because that's a really good deal. Bands start at 4 o'clock. So those wristbands are good all day, and remember that. So come on out. This is our big event, and all the proceeds go to the parade. This is how we fund the parade. The Hands of the City I wanted to bring this up and announce it at a council meeting first. I felt that was the best way to do it before there's an actual press release by hands of the city. At our last planning meeting for the year 2019 parade, we are going to rename the parade the John D. Dingle Memorial Day Parade. And we felt that this was the proper way to show respect for Congressman Dingle's military service in World War II. For those of you who might not know that he was in World War II. And like myself, was also a very passionate voyeur as far as just absorbing everything about World War II. So it's nice to know that I have that in common with such an extraordinary hero who served in the war. And of course, to commemorate his long public service. So there are other things that Hands of the City are working on as far as a special presentation to the Dingle family during the parade, and we'll be getting information out to you about that when it becomes available. I sent Councilman Parkinson information on this because he's the one that had asked for the review on the building department numbers. I do know there has to be a deeper dive into the numbers. So far, they look good. Unfortunately, I cannot be here for that study session. I fully support bringing the building department in-house. And as the way the numbers look, of course, to support planning and zoning, that would also have to include staff for a city planner and at least a part-time engineer. To that end, there's no reason why EDC and the DDA can't help partially fund at least those two positions. And then this allows for city planning and an engineer to help with the being resources for the EDC and the DDA. And of course, this is less outside contracting that we have to do, more stuff we're doing more in-house, more institutional knowledge. It's all good. So I just want to bring that up since I won't be here for the study session. But bringing the building department in-house cannot support that enough, and I think it's just going to allow for better oversight and better management, to put it bluntly. Okay, a couple of smaller events that I'm developing that are going to be city events. April 20th, there'll be more information. This will be at the VFW. I'm calling it Freedom Fair Spring Fest. It's a general small crafter show, vendor show. Specifically for the first one, I just want to have a very successful first show, get enough people to come to the VFW and support the vendors. Also, I've already paid for the hall, and I'll be covering all the costs of promotion myself. And the vendors' fees and all the door proceeds, half of that is going to go back to the VFW to just help keep their doors open. And then the other half of the proceeds will be going to a friend of mine who unfortunately is battling stage 4 kidney cancer. And that's kind of a hard one. She's a grandmother, so let it be known that the $2 you pay at the door is going to help the VFW and a grandmother battling cancer. So September 28th, that's a long way away, but not when you're planning an event. I'm calling it Crossroads Revival, and
5 seconds, sir.
Okay, I'll get into that later. Thank you very much, Mayor.
Seeing no one else for citizen comments, I'll move to the oral reports of the mayor and council. Council President Breeding.
Just two little quick anecdotes here. John Dingle in the early 80s, Congressman Dingle. I had a relative who was both of his wives. His first wife died on choking at a family event, and the second wife was helping out someone with domestic violence, helping someone move out, and she was shot. So he had a nervous breakdown, and then he was in a bad car accident. He was really in bad shape. Congressman Dingle did not even represent the people that lived in Ecorse. Irene, I'd met Congressman Dingle many times, and Irene gave him a call. And he worked so hard, and within a month, Carl had his disability, and he didn't even have to do that. And so that's just one little quick story, that he was a super gentleman who worked for everyone. And one time he was in City Hall, and I asked him what he thought that a lot of the communities were going to 4-year terms. And I asked him what he thought of 4-year terms, term limits. And he said, Donna, I'm up every 2 years. That's my term limit. I'm only here to serve for 2 years. If they want me back, they'll put me back. And obviously they did for many, many years. And other than that, I want to offer my condolences again to Carlos and his family and his loss. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Councilman Salcido?
Yes, thank you very much. Good evening, residents. First off, the chocolate walk, I was at the Historical Museum that day, and I saw Kelsey and Kathy come in, Councilman Kelsey. Mike Higgins came in, I saw Lillian Ross, it was real nice. But just to tip on that, later in the day, don't ask me why, but I wanted a smoothie, so I go to Lincoln Park, and there's Councilman Ross. But to make a long story short, we discussed maybe having this chocolate walk in the spring or summer because of the cold weather. So that's all I want to add on that. I don't know who's in charge of that, but anyway, just thought I'd raise that. Speaking of raising that, Raise the Bar is now opened. It's a fitness weight center right here on Fort Street, 4126 Fort. After the chocolate walk, I did about 2 miles on a treadmill, so that helped. The grand opening is soon to come. Just so you know, you can go month to month, or you can get a yearly membership like I did. So show up if you can at the Raise the Bar gym. More details coming. Also, a resident on White Street, she wanted me to thank the DPS. They apparently filled some potholes from Southfield to Cleveland Avenue. And she was very happy, but she said, don't mention my name, so I won't mention Rita's name. But anyway, she was very happy. Thank you very much. In regards to the recycling, I can't tell you the last 2 months, I'm at Myers, I'm at gas stations. You know how many people I talked to, and it was a split. A lot of people were for it. Some said, well, I'd like to see it. So I hope that we roll this program out. I hope it's a success. It was a tough one today. Also, in closing, another coworker of mine, he lives in Lincoln Park. Obviously, he works where I do. But he says he is unable to view the council meetings through Comcast. And he actually called me on a Wednesday one day, and I have a WOW cable, and it was a Wednesday at 12 o'clock. They show him, I think, 12:06 and whatever. But we monitored the whole day. Neither one of us had a council meeting on there, so he would like to know what he can do about that. And the Mustang steering wheels, due to some unforeseen situation, there's a shortage, obviously, so the Mustang plant is going to one shift in April, so they want to build out. So they can't build out unless they build cars, so that's why they're parking these cars. As soon as the steering wheels come in, they'll ship the cars, so. And thank you for the condolences, everybody. Good night.
The chocolate walk is done by the Downtown Development Authority, and that would be Giles
Gotcha.
Tucker. All right, Councilwoman Ross.
Thank you, Your Honor. I just want to say congratulations to Dennis Anderson on his promotion. And then mention the simple recycling. Let's not forget about those orange bags. And if you had the situation that I did, they are really good. I put my bags out a while ago, but they didn't show up. The company didn't show up. So I sent them a quick email. They emailed me right back and were there the next day. So don't give up on them. Just email them. But, I mean, I think if we take advantage of the simple recycling, the paper recycling, and now curbside recycling, we're going to be in really good shape to reduce those tipping fees, I think. But hopefully we'll see you at the all-day jam. That's it.
All right, Councilman Kelsey.
Thank you. If you missed the chocolate walk, you missed a good time, except that every time I was into a business, somebody was either behind me or in front of me. For a while, it was Higgins, and it was somebody else, but there was a lot of people who had a good time. It was very nice. Matter of fact, I ran into Carlos when he was listening to the book thing at the museum. I saw him there, and got in, got our little stamp and left. It was a very good time. I think that obviously the weather could be a little bit more comfortable. It was a little cold, and some of the places you had to drive to, but that's the way it is. Nothing's perfect, but I had a good time, and I thought it was very nice. And I thought it was a lot more people that attended than this is my first time probably than in the first couple times. And the only thing that keeps me away is the cold. Usually it's snowing or raining or some, you get people coming out, but the weather doesn't want to cooperate, and that's kind of rough. On the recycling, I've had people for and against, and I guess we'll see how that turns out. That's the bottom line. What I'm concerned with, though, is that, and I said this before, and I'll expand about it, this thing was passed in 1990. I mean, and evidently nobody amended this thing. They just quit it and left it go. And I find that kind of disheartening as an ex-union guy and an ex-guy that did contracts and that stuff. If you don't clean up your language, then you're going to get in a lot of trouble. And I don't know what else is hanging out there that hasn't been done by somebody. And city manager ought to take a look through that charter and see what we're not doing. Because if there's a lot more things we're not doing, it should be put on the agenda and either adjusted or taken care of. I mean, that's how you clean up business to be in 2018. You don't let things sit for 10, 15 years or whatever. I wasn't here when this thing was done, and I wasn't here when it was taken out. But I know sitting in the audience for 8 years, nobody said nothing on the council or the mayor. I mean, just the way it is. And I'm surprised that we had to vote on something that, quite frankly, is already in the charter. That's a no-brainer, ordinance. Excuse me. It's 106.01, yes. Recycling. Lincoln Park Code of Ordinances, yes. In closing, Carlos, I'm sorry to hear about your brother. That was very nice of you to show up, though. I mean, it takes a lot of gumption to do that, especially when you had a death in a family. And I got a lot of respect for you to come and participate. And with that, I'll end it. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Councilman Parkinson?
Thank you. Carlos, my condolences also. I'm sorry to hear about your loss. Councilman Dingle. He was a hands-on person. He was a people person. He didn't sit up in his ivory castle in Washington. He'd be right out here with everybody in the parade, watching the parade, marching in the parade, visiting the people all over town. John will be missed. Could you let me know where we're at in the city energy program, City Hall energy program? Matt?
He's writing it down.
I mean, I'll provide more writing once I have everything finalized, but we have for the lights, to replace the lights in City Hall, we have the supply cost. We're working on the cost for installation right now. So we're getting different quotes on that right now.
You asked a DPS if they were interested for overtime?
So if council directs me to have DPS do it, I'll have DPS do it, but understand that we don't have a licensed electrician on staff. And again, if you direct me to do something that's contrary to what the city requires everybody else do, I'll do it. But at this point,
Putting
I
up a
think
light
we wanna-
fixture, I don't see it needs an electrician. You got a maintenance man that does it all the time.
So we require anybody else doing that to have an electrician install it. And again, we don't have an electrician on staff. So again, if you want me to do that in violation of what we require everyone else to do, I will direct them to do it.
I don't think a ballast and a light bulb is in our electrician's realm, but you do what you see best. What about the heat and air conditioning?
We're working on that as well. I know that I was talking with John earlier today. I guess DPS had given him a quote just to replace what's in place downstairs with that water cooling unit. Our intention is to get rid of the water cooling unit and go to either a forced air or some type of unit to replace that. So we're looking at that right now.
And that water was ridiculous, $2,000 water bill. I'd be glad to see that go. That's an antique. It's been here ever since I've been here. And what day was it, the building department meeting? The 11th?
No, the 4th.
The 4th before
Fourth,
the next.
yeah,
yep.
you would think, was it at 6:30 you'd put that on for? 6:30.
Thank you.
Alrighty. I mentioned earlier that we had a training session on the 14th, and says a little bit about Carlos's, I guess, dedication, that he was at that session, which is, and his brother died the day before, so I guess you have priorities that when you're here to do a job, you do the job, so I appreciated that. I look forward to recycling starting again in the city of Lincoln Park. I hope that is everything that we anticipate it will be. I know that there are several groups at the high school anyway that'll be ecstatic that will be established. And with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Support.
Or call the roll.
Councilperson. Let's turn that microphone on. Councilpersons Kelsey,
Yes.
Salcido,
Yes.
Breeding, Parkinson,
Yes.
Ross,
Yes.
and Mayor Carnes.
Yes.
Had it for many.